Welcome back, friends. We are back for another killer library from our friends at Fracture Sounds. They do legato libraries probably better than any other developer, in my opinion. This one is no different. This is the Emotive Woodwind Soloist library, which includes a flute, oboe, English horn, clarinet, bassoon, as well as some bonus articulations using the piccolo. It is their third legato library, the first two being soft string soloists and brass band soloists. It is a chunky monkey, installing at just over 32 gigabytes, running on the free Contact player. They do recommend a minimum of 16 gigs of RAM. Let's check out how it sounds. As you can hear, an absolutely incredible sound. The oboe is my personal favorite woodwind instrument of all time. When we load it up, we have flute, oboe, English horn, clarinet, bassoon, and then we have some additional articulations with those same instruments, and then some bonus content from the piccolo. So there is a lot of content. Too much content to cover in the span of this review, but I'll cover what I can. Let's load up the flute again, and we're going to just run through this interface. So we have our dynamics control, which is assigned to your mod wheel. Color knob. Depending if you're trying to get it to cut through that mix or if you want it just nice and soft. Mono. Wide stereo. We have their reverb, which I absolutely love. So it defaults to the room. Of course, there is their shimmer, which I absolutely love. And I probably overuse, but I'm fine with that. I cannot get enough of the shimmer reverb. All right, we have our articulations, which I will come back to. We have a microphone mix, close, mid, far. You can mute and solo each one. You can unload microphones to save RAM, just like you can unload articulations to save RAM. And I do recommend that you do that. So you can get your individual mixes based on each microphone, or you can use their slider. Let's check out the close sound. Let's bring it out far. The realism in these sounds is pretty stellar. They've done an unbelievable job with these. Then we have our instrument placement. So we have in situ. So this will be their naturally recorded position. You can customize the position, which I actually did. I'll talk about in my composition. Or if you want on the right. Or there's a center stereo fixed position field. We have their legato, which to me is the best legato out there right now. Whatever they got going on in here, they know what they're doing. So their smart legato, I've gone into detail in their soft string soloist library of specifically how this works and how you would program in. So I'm not going to go into a whole lot of details with that. There is also a classic legato setting as well. So you can kind of play around with that. They've also done really detailed videos explaining this. We have a dynamic range control, as well as a key switch range control. So that covers the interface, and then we have our articulations. Partway through this video, I'm going to turn off the microphone. I'm going to play through a bunch of the patches. I am not going to play through all of them because there's just too many and there's too much content. Most of us are probably going to gravitate towards the legato patches. So as you can see, RAM is currently loaded at almost 1 gigabyte. Okay, but if I'm not going to be key switching and using all these other patches, let's just unload them. And you're going to see that number keep coming down. We've basically cut it in half. Okay, that is huge depending on what kind of setup you're working with. I'm going to shut off the microphone. You can kick back, relax. I'm going to play through some patches, and then I'm going to come back and walk you through the composition. Okay, so let's check out the composition. In the purple, we have 4 instances of the emotive winds. So I have their flute, oboe, clarinet, and English horn. The inspiration for this piece was Serenade for Winds by Amadeus. I am not Amadeus. I'm not even close to Amadeus, but I love to be inspired, and that is one of my favorite songs. The idea was that if you're familiar with that song, it's an oboe and clarinet basically taking turns with the lead lines. So that was kind of the inspiration for this. So that's more or less what I did, except I started with the clarinet, brought in the English horn, and then the oboe. The flute was actually using the sustains patch. So I'll play you those. In the orange, I used their string formations library. We have some airy sustains. These two are the same patch. I just separated them into mid and low. And then we have their layer blends, which I love. I actually started off with their Spotlight piano when I sketched this composition out. I think Spotlight piano is probably the single best piano VST out there right now. However, I love the softness of the Glacier keys, and I thought it just kind of worked better with these soft winds. So let's check out the flute sustains. Just a bed of sound. You can probably guess that I did indeed use the shimmer reverb. Let's listen to the oboe. Absolutely nuts how expressive this is. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, I spent a lot of time programming these. I have the dynamics assigned to my controller, so of course I was writing that the entire time, but I always recommend going back in and then fine-tuning all of this information, because you might get it close when you're writing your faders, but you're going to have to fine-tune it. Let's check out the clarinet. Absolutely stunning sound. And we have our English horn. To me, the English horn sounds somewhere between a crossbreed between a clarinet and an oboe. quite a lovely sound. I went with some custom positions. So for the oboe, I wanted dead center because I kind of wanted that to be the main part of the show. Whereas with the clarinet, I went far left. Even though the instruments are not playing at the same time, it just creates a little bit more realism and it kind of just opens up some space. For the English horn, I went almost all the way to the right. Okay, so get in there and mess around with those positions. That's what they're for. My line of thinking is that whatever instrument is your main instrument, your highlight instrument, you're going to want that dead center. At least that's the way that I do things. To that, we have some string formations. We just have their airy sustains. Absolutely love this library. Let's play these together. So expressive, and it just puts a nice bed underneath. Then the woodwinds sit on top. And we have their layer blends. They kind of took their original content and they kind of made almost like a synth out of it. And I use their shuffle button, which I love using. Absolutely gorgeous sound, and it has some of that air in there, and I just thought that would work really well with the woodwinds. And then we have their glacier keys. Their piano libraries are absolutely fantastic. I have done a review on almost all of them. There's a couple that I still haven't done, so I'll have to bug them and see if I can get my hands on the ones that I haven't done. But Glacier Keys has a absolutely lovely sound. Let's check it out. Just a lovely, delicate sound. It works so well with these other sounds. I just turned down their key release noises. I don't like a lot of resonance or a lot of pedal noise, so I brought that down a little bit. Color knob a little bit to the right to cut through the mix a little bit, and atmospheric intensity right in the middle. I sketched this piece out on piano in one shot, and I always try to do that for these types of songs. So this is off the click, off the grid. Lots of rubato, lots of space. So I sketch it out on piano and then I add the other parts on top. What I do is I just open up the MIDI so I can follow my root chords so I know where the chords have changed. And then I just match up the timing as I'm programming the parts. So that is the composition. Let's have some final thoughts. I've talked about how well Fracture Sounds does pianos. To me, they've done the best piano VSTs. I think that they've also done that with their legatos. These, to me, are the best woodwinds VSTs that I've ever used. They're better than anything else in my collection. I can tell you that hands down. They are the most expressive, the most realistic. They're quite stunning. Soft, detailed libraries. That's where they're just absolutely brilliant. You close your eyes and you can almost just picture the player just sitting right in front of you. That's it for me. Stay safe. Catch you in the next one.